Welcome to episode 3. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Luis Garcia, and I've been exercising for the past maybe 3 years, approaching 4. And in this journey, I realized that I've been exercising everything except for one crucial muscle, and that muscle is courage. I realized that in lifting weights, running, things of that matter, I was not finding what I was really looking for within myself. Courage, the ability to be authentically me in any scenario. We discussed this in my last video about greatness and how greats are able to impose their will upon nature. They're able to be their authentic self and they enact that through skill. I felt as if I could not be myself everywhere. I felt like I couldn't achieve true authenticity. So I wondered, what can I do? Maybe there's a part of myself that I need to explore. Carl Jung said that, discovering the shadow, the dark parts of ourselves is important for us to embrace who we are wholly. And I felt like I wasn't quite embracing the whole version of myself. Maybe the nice parts, maybe the happy go lucky parts, but I feel like I wasn't exploring something deeper, something deep within me. And I think that is where I have developed my courage muscle. You see, technically, I have no reason to be fighting. I go to school. Pretty decent job opportunities are waiting for me. I have a family who loves me. I don't have a lot of financial struggles per se or anything like that. However, I struggle deeply within. I feel as if there's something that I lack. I feel as if I haven't been pushing myself enough to the brinks of what I can do. And with that, this summer I embarked on a journey. Starting May 16th, I signed up for a boxing gym, and I've been going there 4 to 5 days a week ever since, constantly discovering new things about myself. So, we're going to talk about that. And this episode in Philosophy Lessons from Fighting is going to be all about courage and vulnerability. Two things that I feel as if I've learned a lot about in this short span of time. So, I'm going to start by telling you guys a story of when I first started sparring. Day 2 of my training. I went through one day and I was like, you know what? Put me in the ring. I was terrified. I was terrified. I was just like, don't hit me. And just, I did a few interesting things that I personally don't do anymore. But, I posted the jab out here, which is quite interesting. But I was terrified. I did not know what to expect. I didn't know how to handle getting hit. Before combat sports, I have never hit anybody, nor gotten hit myself. So I was completely at a loss. That sparring partner, thankfully, took it quite easy on me. He didn't really lay it on me. And that, maybe that made me feel like, yeah, I could do this. And then that Friday, I won't name him here, but I hope he's watching this. He's a great guy. I sparred again, and man, he beat the brakes off of me. He just beat me up so badly, and it, I couldn't even. Well, I could eat, but my jaw hurt. Like eating, it was like I could not even. That filled me with so many emotions that I've never really explored. I was angry. I was embarrassed, ashamed. How could I let somebody do that to me? So I felt entirely helpless to that situation. My opponent was like a force of nature just smashing and destroying me. I felt like nothing I could have done could have prevented that outcome. And I really struggled with that a lot. It kind of sent me into a deep moment of reflection. Like, what does that mean? I just got my ass kicked, like, really badly. How do I move on from that? And you know what? I persevered. I moved forward. I got back up after getting knocked down. And then, 2 weeks later, it happened again. And he beat me up worse. He beat me up worse than he beat me up the first time. You know, in his perspective, he was just working. He was just participating in the sport. It's not his fault that I was open and vulnerable to his advances. It's entirely my fault, and I should be the one reacting and adapting to the situation. So I'm not at all upset about what happened now, in hindsight. But again, it sent me through a loop. I had to drive on my commute home with a headache. My jaw hurt. I had a black eye. I was pissed. I was pissed. And I began to realize that every time I got in and I knew I was going to get my ass kicked, I wouldn't describe what I felt as fear. It's like you know that this person's like gonna touch you up, gonna do you good, but you don't quite feel fear. It's like you feel respect for the situation and you're cautious, but you know what's gonna happen, and now your brain attempts to kind of like navigate it. Like, how can I not get beat up? I have a fighting journal right here, and I was going through my notes the other day, and I was fighting another great fighter. I'll tell the story about him in a second. Um, and in my notes about him, one of the notes to prepare for him was survive. So, I was so scared to go against him, but I lived. Yeah, I had a black eye. I got beat up, but I lived. And that started to click with me. I'm like, hey, wait, I'm getting beat up, and these guys are really, really putting the paws on me, but I'm surviving, and I'm learning, and I'm able to ask questions and see if I can get better for next time. I'm living. This is life. And I think that is where I have began to discover courage. When facing impossible situations that don't kill me, and then finding out how to move on afterwards, finding out how to navigate afterwards. In my opinion, I believe that courage is acting despite the consequences that you know are coming. You know sparring that guy is bad news, but you do it anyways. You know, of course you don't want to get hurt, but sometimes there are just things that you must do. And I'm really grateful that those individuals helped me reach this point of my mindset, because before combat sports, I didn't really understand what courage was. Yeah, I was fit, I was disciplined per se. I was quite disciplined, but I didn't know what it felt like to get knocked down and to get back up, or to just push yourself to exhaustion, to cry, to hurt. I've cried. I've driven home after sparring and I've cried. I've cried when I got the better of an opponent and when an opponent got the better of me. And I think that's so courageous, to allow myself to feel the human emotions that something so beautiful yet violent is making me feel. I've Ever since I've been engaging in combat sports, I've been much more of a vulnerable person. I am so comfortable with my vulnerability and my lack of expertise now. And I feel like before combat sports, I may have had a bigger ego, and I feel like combat sports has taken my ego and destroyed it. I cry often now. I cry when my friends get hurt in particular. I feel such soft and tender feelings towards them that I feel as if I have never expressed before. I have experienced moments where it's like, you know what? I really do not know anything. I've read all these books, I've watched all these inspirational videos, yet I still know nothing. And that's okay. Now is the time for me to absorb and ask questions and be courageous and keep getting up after being defeated. Because that's life. And I feel as if I will never stop being a student in this way. And I hope that I'm always able to display courage. And, hopefully in making these videos, I am also being courageous by showing some lessons I've learned and helping people. So, this was a different type of philosophy video from episodes 1 and 2. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. So, thank you for watching.